Sir, I need you to put your hands where I can see them.
Officer, I'm sorry. What's the problem here?
We got a call about suspicious activity. What are you doing?
This is my restaurant. I own this place.
Are you sure you belong here? Can I ask who called this in, officer? Female caller reported suspicious behavior. Taking photos of my own restaurant is suspicious?
I don't know what you think you're doing here, but this is my establishment. We need to clear this up right now.
Jesse Williams, a 38-year-old real estate agent, entered Magnolia's Fine Dining on March 2, 2023. The elegant Charlotte restaurant buzzed with Thursday evening diners. Williams had no idea that her actions this night would destroy her career, trigger legal battles, and thrust her into national media scrutiny. Magnolia's Fine Dining occupied a converted Victorian mansion in Charlotte's prestigious Myers Park district, its mahogany-paneled walls adorned with local artwork and soft Edison bulb lighting that cast warm shadows across linen-covered tables. The restaurant's 45 seats filled nightly with a diverse clientele of doctors, lawyers, young professionals, and families celebrating special occasions. Crystal stemware caught the candlelight, while servers moved gracefully between tables, presenting dishes that had earned the establishment recognition from Food and Wine magazine and a coveted James Beard Award nomination. The evening of March 6, 2023 unfolded like any other Thursday. The dinner service hummed with quiet efficiency as the kitchen prepared seasonal dishes featuring North Carolina ingredients. The wine cellar housed over 300 selections, many from small vintners David Johnson had discovered during his culinary travels. The hostess station displayed awards and accolades that testified to 7 years of excellence, while the bar showcased local spirits and craft cocktails that complemented the sophisticated Southern cuisine. David Johnson had transformed this space through sheer determination and unwavering vision. Born to a single mother in rural Robeson County, he grew up in a small house where dinner often consisted of whatever groceries food stamps could purchase. His mother, Sarah Johnson, worked double shifts at a textile factory while attending night school to become a licensed practical nurse. She instilled in her son the belief that education and hard work could overcome any obstacle, though neither could have imagined he would one day own one of Charlotte's most celebrated restaurants. Johnson's culinary journey began at 16, when he took a dishwashing job at a local diner. The heat and chaos of the kitchen fascinated him, and he spent extra hours learning knife skills from the line cooks. After high school, he worked 3 jobs to pay for culinary school in Charleston, sleeping 4 hours nightly and living on ramen noodles and leftover bread from the bakery where he worked weekends. His formal training led to positions in acclaimed restaurants across the country. He worked under demanding chefs in New York, learned classical techniques in San Francisco, and mastered farm-to-table cooking in Portland. Each position taught him not just culinary skills, but business acumen, wine knowledge, and the intricate dance of fine dining service. He saved every possible dollar, sleeping on couches and eating staff meals to minimize expenses. Returning to North Carolina in 2016, Johnson purchased the abandoned Victorian mansion with a combination of personal savings, small business loans, and a grant for minority entrepreneurs. He spent months renovating the space himself, stripping wallpaper, refinishing floors, and designing a kitchen that could execute his ambitious vision. Opening night drew skeptical local food critics who questioned whether Charlotte was ready for innovative Southern cuisine prepared by a young black chef. Every Thursday evening, Johnson conducted thorough inspections of his restaurant. He photographed areas needing maintenance, reviewed inventory, checked equipment, and ensured every detail met his exacting standards. This routine had become sacred, a way of staying connected to every aspect of his business. At 42, he was not just a restaurateur, but a community leader, employing 45 staff members and mentoring young chefs who looked like him in an industry where such representation remained rare. His teenage daughter, Amara, often accompanied him on weekend inspections, learning business principles that would guide her own entrepreneurial aspirations. Johnson had built more than a restaurant. He had created a legacy that proved excellence knew no color boundaries. Jesse Williams had built her real estate career on an ability to read people and situations quickly. Licensed for 8 years, she specialized in luxury properties throughout Charlotte's most exclusive neighborhoods, earning substantial commissions by connecting affluent buyers with million-dollar homes. Her clients trusted her judgment about property values, neighborhood demographics, and which areas offered the best investment potential. This professional success had shaped her worldview in ways she rarely examined consciously. Williams grew up in a middle-class subdivision where diversity meant families from different Protestant denominations. Her childhood neighborhood maintained strict homeowners association rules about lawn maintenance, fence heights, and acceptable paint colors. These early experiences taught her that maintaining standards required constant vigilance against anything that might diminish property values or disrupt established norms. She carried these lessons into her adult life, viewing herself as a guardian of community standards. Her real estate colleagues had noticed patterns in Williams' behavior that made them uncomfortable during office meetings. She consistently questioned Black clients' financial qualifications more rigorously than white buyers, requesting additional documentation and proof of income that exceeded standard lending requirements. When showing properties in upscale neighborhoods, Williams would make coded comments about maintaining the character of the community and ensuring new residents would fit in with existing homeowners. The Charlotte Homeowners Association, where Williams served as secretary, kept detailed records of her complaint submissions. Over 3 years, she had filed 17 formal grievances about Black visitors to the community, claiming they were loitering when they visited friends, acting suspiciously when they waited in cars, or violating guest policies by staying longer than overnight. Her complaints always included phrases about maintaining security and protecting property values, language that provided legal cover while expressing underlying racial anxieties. Restaurant servers across Charlotte's dining scene had encountered Williams' troubling behavior during her frequent meals at upscale establishments. At Vintage Wine Bar, she questioned whether a Black couple could afford their wine selection, suggesting they might prefer the more reasonably priced options. The Capitol Grill staff documented her requests to verify that Black diners had proper reservations, claiming she was concerned about table availability for members. Her country club kept incident reports about Williams asking Black guests to provide proof of sponsorship, even when they were clearly accompanied by white members. Williams' social media activity revealed deeper prejudices beneath her professional veneer. Her Facebook posts used coded language about preserving neighborhood character and protecting our investments. She shared articles about property crime that disproportionately featured Black suspects, adding comments about the need for increased vigilance in maintaining community safety. Her Instagram stories from restaurant visits often included subtle complaints about crowds and different clientele when establishments attracted diverse patrons. The pattern escalated significantly in 2022 when Williams called security on a Black family at South Park Mall, claiming they were acting suspicious near the jewelry store. The family was actually shopping for an engagement ring, and security cameras confirmed they had done nothing unusual. Earlier that year, she reported a Black delivery driver to police, insisting he was casing houses when he was actually following GPS directions to complete a package delivery. Despite these troubling incidents, Williams maintained an exemplary professional record. Her luxury real estate firm valued her $15 million annual sales volume and connections within Charlotte's elite social circles. She volunteered with the Chamber of Commerce, attended charity galas, and cultivated relationships with influential community members. This respectable facade masked the racial bias that would soon destroy everything she had built. David Johnson pulled his silver sedan into the familiar parking space behind Magnolia's fine dining at precisely 7:15 that Thursday evening. The designated owner's spot sat adjacent to the kitchen entrance, allowing him easy access for his weekly inspections without disrupting the front-of-house operations. He gathered his leather portfolio and phone, mentally reviewing the checklist that had become second nature after 7 years of ownership. The March air carried hints of spring warmth, and Johnson anticipated another successful evening of service. The kitchen buzzed with controlled energy as Johnson entered through the back door. His head chef, Marcus, looked up from plating appetizers and nodded respectfully while continuing his precise movements. The prep cooks maintained their rhythm, chopping vegetables and reducing sauces for the evening's specials. Johnson exchanged brief pleasantries with his staff, checking the walk-in cooler temperature logs and reviewing the evening's reservation count. 43 covers were booked, promising a profitable night that would help offset the slower weekday lunch business. Johnson changed from his casual inspection attire into the press shirt and blazer he kept in his small office. The transformation marked his transition from hands-on owner to public face of the establishment. He clipped his phone to his belt and picked up the small notebook, where he documented maintenance needs, equipment concerns, and observations about service flow. These Thursday inspections had become ritualistic, connecting him intimately with every aspect of his restaurant's operations. Meanwhile, Jessie Williams arrived at the front entrance with two female companions, colleagues from her real estate office who had suggested dinner at Charlotte's acclaimed restaurant. The hostess greeted them warmly and led them to a prime table with clear sightlines across the main dining room. Williams appreciated the elegant atmosphere, noting the diverse clientele that filled the space with animated conversation and the gentle clink of fine stemware. As Johnson began his systematic inspection, photographing a section of crown molding that showed water damage from a recent roof leak, Williams noticed his movements from across the dining room. She observed him holding his phone at various angles, taking multiple shots of the same area. Her real estate training had taught her to notice people who seemed out of place, and something about this well-dressed black man with a camera triggered her suspicions. Williams leaned toward her dining companions, pointing discreetly in Johnson's direction. She whispered concerns about the man with the camera, suggesting his behavior seemed unusual for a typical restaurant patron. Her friends initially dismissed her observations, focusing instead on their wine selections and catching up on office gossip. They had come to enjoy a pleasant meal, not analyze the movements of other customers. Johnson continued his methodical documentation, moving to the bar area where he photographed the wine storage system that needed updating. He handled several bottles, checking labels, and making notes about inventory levels in his notebook. The familiar routine calmed him, providing the detailed oversight that had helped Magnolia's maintain its reputation for excellence. He was completely unaware that his professional inspection was being interpreted as something sinister by a customer across the room. Williams became increasingly agitated as she watched Johnson's activities. When he approached the front dining area and began photographing lighting fixtures that required repair, she announced to her table that she intended to call police. Her companions attempted to dissuade her, suggesting she speak with restaurant management if she genuinely felt concerned. Williams rejected their advice, insisting that waiting could prove dangerous if the man was planning criminal activity. Stepping outside for clearer phone reception, Williams dialed 911 and reported what she described as suspicious behavior by a black male at an upscale restaurant. She told the dispatcher that the man was taking photographs of security areas and cash stations, acting nervous and clearly out of place in such an establishment. The emergency operator asked for specific details about threatening behavior, but Williams could only describe her general suspicions about someone who seemed to be casing the restaurant for potential robbery. Inside, Johnson remained focused on his inspection duties, completely oblivious to the emergency call being made about his presence. He checked the reservation system with his hostess, reviewed the evening's seating arrangements, and greeted several regular customers who recognized him and inquired about upcoming menu changes. His staff interacted with him normally, clearly comfortable with their employer's routine presence in the dining room. 2 patrol officers responded to Williams's call within minutes, parking outside and entering the restaurant with their hands positioned near their service weapons. They scanned the dining room, identifying Johnson near the bar area, where he stood reviewing wine inventory on his phone. The first officer called out sharply, demanding that Johnson put his hands where they could see them. The second officer moved to flank Johnson from the side, following standard protocols for potentially dangerous situations. Johnson turned slowly, confused and frightened by the sudden police presence. He raised his hands, still holding his phone, and asked what problem had brought officers to his restaurant. When told they were investigating reports of suspicious activity, Johnson's initial response was to explain that he owned the establishment. The officers exchanged skeptical glances, requesting identification and proof of ownership, while maintaining their defensive positions. The dining room fell silent as customers turned to observe the unfolding confrontation. Johnson's hands trembled as he reached for his wallet, producing business cards, identification, and restaurant permits. A kitchen staff member emerged to defend their employer, asking officers what was happening. The gradual realization that they had confronted the actual restaurant owner created an uncomfortable moment of recognition for everyone involved. Williams watched from her table as her terrible mistake became apparent, understanding too late that she had weaponized law enforcement against a successful black business owner in his own establishment. The realization hung heavy in the air as the first police officer cleared his throat and offered an awkward apology to David Johnson. The restaurant owner straightened his blazer, his dignity intact despite the humiliation, and calmly requested the officers' names and badge numbers for incident documentation. His staff gathered around him, their faces showing mixtures of anger, disbelief, and protective solidarity. The head chef stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on Johnson's shoulder while glaring at the officers who had treated their respected employer like a criminal. Regular customers began approaching Johnson's position near the bar, offering quiet apologies and words of support. Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who had celebrated 3 anniversaries at Magnolia's, shook her head in disgust and promised to bring her entire book club for dinner the following week. A young couple who had become engaged at the restaurant 6 months earlier expressed their outrage that anyone could mistake the gracious owner who had made their special night perfect. Jessie Williams attempted to gather her belongings and leave quietly, but Johnson spotted her movement and approached her table directly. His voice remained steady and controlled as he asked if she was the person who had called police on him in his own establishment. Williams stammered a defensive response about being cautious and feeling unsafe, but her words rang hollow in the face of Johnson's measured composure. Her dining companions sat in mortified silence, unable to defend their colleagues' actions or distance themselves quickly enough from the unfolding disaster. Unbeknownst to Williams, a patron at a nearby table had recorded the entire police confrontation on her smartphone. Within minutes of the officer's departure, the video was uploaded to TikTok, with hashtags identifying the incident as racial profiling. The recording captured Johnson's dignity, the officer's awkward realization, and Williams' uncomfortable attempt to leave unnoticed. Social media algorithms rapidly amplified the content, spreading it across platforms faster than Williams could comprehend the scope of her exposure. Local news stations monitoring social media trends picked up the story within 2 hours of the initial posting. Reporters began calling Magnolia's for comment, while the restaurant's phone lines filled with supportive messages from community members expressing solidarity with Johnson. The reservation system crashed temporarily as hundreds of people attempted to book tables, turning the incident into an unexpected marketing phenomenon that highlighted the community's rejection of racial bias. The Charlotte Police Department found itself managing an unexpected public relations crisis as the video gained national attention. The communications director issued a carefully worded statement about officers responding to reported suspicious activity, while Internal Affairs launched an immediate investigation into the handling of the incident. Police Chief Martinez scheduled an emergency meeting with Johnson for the following morning, recognizing the need for damage control and community healing. Department leadership reviewed the body camera footage from both responding officers, noting their professional conduct once the misunderstanding became apparent. However, the incident raised uncomfortable questions about implicit bias in emergency response and the weaponization of police resources against black citizens. Training supervisors began developing new protocols for handling suspicious person calls that lacked specific descriptions of criminal behavior. Williams's real estate brokerage received its first angry phone calls before she had even left the restaurant parking lot. Social media users had quickly identified her through her distinctive appearance in the video and tagged her employer's business accounts with demands for accountability. The firm's managing partner found himself fielding calls from local media outlets seeking comment on his employees' behavior, while negative reviews flooded the company's online profiles. By midnight, major news networks had picked up the story, with CNN and NBC requesting interviews with Johnson about his experience. The restaurant became an impromptu media headquarters as camera crews set up outside, waiting for the morning's service to begin. Food Network personalities and celebrity chefs began posting messages of support on social media, amplifying the story's reach beyond local news into national consciousness. The incident crystallized broader conversations about racial bias in American society, transforming a single evening's confrontation into a symbol of persistent discrimination that successful Black Americans continue to face in spaces where their presence challenges assumptions about belonging and ownership. The Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office faced immediate pressure to pursue criminal charges against Jesse Williams as the video continued circulating nationwide. Legal analysts debated whether her 911 call constituted filing a false police report, given that she had genuinely believed her suspicions were justified. The prosecutor assigned to review the case found precedent in North Carolina statutes that criminalized knowingly false emergency reports, but proving Williams's intent remained complicated by her claims of sincere concern. Within a week of the incident, Williams received a citation for filing a false emergency report, carrying a maximum penalty for $500 and 40 hours of community service. Her defense attorney argued that she had acted in good faith based on observations that seemed suspicious to a reasonable person. However, Johnson's legal team prepared a federal civil rights lawsuit seeking $2.5 million in damages for discrimination, emotional distress, and harm to his business reputation. The Charlotte Real Estate Board launched an ethics investigation into Williams' conduct, reviewing not only the restaurant incident, but also the emerging pattern of complaints from colleagues and clients about her discriminatory behavior. Former clients came forward with stories about Williams questioning their qualifications based on race, making inappropriate comments about neighborhood demographics, and steering black buyers away from certain communities. The mounting evidence painted a picture of systemic bias that violated professional standards. Williams' luxury real estate firm terminated her employment within 10 days of the viral video, citing conduct incompatible with company values and the exodus of high-profile clients who refused to work with her. Her professional liability insurance company dropped her coverage due to potential discrimination claims, while the real estate board suspended her license pending the outcome of their investigation. The financial consequences proved devastating, as Williams lost access to $3.2 million in pending commissions from canceled deals. The civil rights lawsuit dominated local headlines for months, as depositions revealed the extent of Williams's discriminatory pattern. Johnson's attorneys documented 17 separate incidents where she had called authorities on black individuals in professional or social settings. The federal investigation expanded to examine whether her behavior constituted a violation of civil rights statutes that criminalized conspiracy to interfere with federally protected activities. Settlement negotiations began after Williams declared personal bankruptcy, unable to manage mounting legal fees and lost income. The case resolved out of court for an undisclosed amount exceeding $1 million, funded partially by Williams's professional liability coverage before her policy cancellation. Johnson announced he would donate a substantial portion of the settlement to organizations combating racial bias in business ownership and supporting minority entrepreneurs facing similar discrimination. The incident catalyzed systemic changes throughout Charlotte's institutions. The police department implemented mandatory bias training for all officers and established new protocols requiring supervisory approval for suspicious person calls lacking specific descriptions of criminal behavior. The real estate industry adopted stricter anti-discrimination policies statewide, while local businesses participated in voluntary bias training programs and displayed all are welcome signs. North Carolina legislators introduced the David Johnson Act, proposed legislation that would criminalize racially motivated false police reports as a felony offense. The bill gained bipartisan support from lawmakers who recognized the need for stronger deterrence against weaponizing emergency services. Restaurant industry organizations created scholarship funds for minority entrepreneurs and established mentorship programs connecting established owners with aspiring restaurateurs from underrepresented communities. The long-term consequences for Williams proved severe and lasting. She relocated to a different state and found work in non-public-facing administrative roles, her career in client services permanently destroyed by her national notoriety. Meanwhile, Johnson became a prominent speaker on racial equity and business ownership, testifying before congressional committees about discrimination facing minority entrepreneurs, and serving on advisory boards for small business development programs. Magnolia's fine dining experienced a remarkable transformation following the incident. Reservations increased by 300% as supporters demonstrated solidarity through patronage. The restaurant won its long-sought James Beard Award 6 months later, with judges noting not only the exceptional cuisine, but also Johnson's grace under pressure and commitment to community healing. He used the increased revenue and settlement funds to open a second location, creating additional employment opportunities and expanding his platform for mentoring young chefs. The documentary about the incident won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Social Issue Program, bringing continued attention to questions of racial bias in American business and social interactions. Johnson's teenage daughter received a full scholarship to culinary school, inspired by her father's resilience and determination to transform a moment of injustice into lasting positive change. In a gesture of reconciliation, Williams eventually wrote a public letter of apology published in the Charlotte Observer, acknowledging her mistakes and committing to volunteer work with organizations combating racial prejudice. Johnson accepted her apology graciously, advocating for restorative rather than purely punitive approaches to addressing discriminatory behavior and working toward genuine community healing.